We look at training through, realistically, especially for my side and the programming side, will be volume, frequency, intensity. So everything realistically is set out for you that you don't really need to understand, well, not understand, but go into detail on volume and frequency. It's the intensity which is going to be the biggest driver of what I want specifically of you as an individual and when you're training. Now, I'm not saying this in terms of constantly driving yourself into the ground in terms of your response to training. It's just going and putting that effort in where you know that there's 2 more reps where you need to go. You might not want to go there, but that is what's going to help us get into that progressive overload state. And we're doing it in a manner which we're not rushing the reps out. So if I set a target of 8 to 10 and you go for 8 or 10, whatever, but you know it's getting a bit more difficult and you just want to get them 2 reps rushed out, don't bother with them. Honestly, I'd rather you just not. I'd look towards it in the fact of the tempo set out as normally it's a 2-2-2-2, 2-2-2-2. So if I looked at it in for a lateral raise, so it's 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, and then you just repeat the process. But the consistency of the reps, when we're following that as a scheme, is going to be the same between rep 1 and rep 10. If we're going to start lowballing the set or cheating away through it, that's when we're realistically not going to be putting a lot of work through. In this instance would be like the delt. So for me to go through, I know I'm going to need some relative tension to work through the delt there, and you kind of know when you're actually working through the muscle and not just going through the motion of just being like, yeah, I'm just pressing because I need to. There's a certain degree of control that we're going to go through, and what is going to require some level of an intensity level from you is going to be the biggest dictator of, right, we're going to cause some stimulus and cause some stress to the body, and this is what's going to help us grow and recover and grow. So everything that we do in the gym is going to be working to break down the muscle tissue. So through you doing pressing, you know that you're going to get to a point of relative soreness through your session, and that's where we kind of want to be, because that's the recovery phase, and then we go into other topics of saying, right, the recovery aspect of what we want to do is then this part, which is just as important as the training. But if you're going to lowball it and say like you're getting 8 reps of just rushing it, we're not actually going to put any stimulus through the pec in this instance. So this is when you might have some coaches that don't talk about tempo with you, but for me I feel like it is quite important, just so we're actually getting through the movement the way that we need to. So if we are going down the muscle building route, we're actually creating the stimulus through like the pec and actually breaking down the muscle tissue to then be like, right, we're going through, we'll go and recover, protein feeding, carbs, everything else that we've probably spoke about in the past, and then go into the detail of being like, right, this is why the week's set out the way it is. And for certain sets, I might say you are pushing yourself to the limit, and it's mainly going to be on your compound lifts. So if it was like a leg day, it'd be your deadlift and your hack squat. For your push days, it'd probably be your shoulder presses and bench presses, and for your pull days, it's going to be looking at like a deadlift or a row. Lat pull down's a bit harder because we're doing that straight pull down. It's going to be a lot more difficult than us doing this, because that'll be like force angles and everything else. That's another video. But the biggest dictator is I can't come in and push intensity with you. It can't happen. You have to be in a position where you realise that if you know you have more in the tank, try and take it there. And that's not to say you burn into failure where you can't actually produce any force out of your chest to do the next set. It is working to a level where that's why the 8.5 is in, so we're working to like 2 reps in the tank, and we've still got the work to be able to get it done afterwards. Obviously, if we need to make certain changes, we will. But for a lot of you, if you're starting like a new program with me, it's going to be like we'll build the foundations and get to know the idea of intensity, and then we go in and push it to the level that we kind of want to when we're being a bit more precise with things. That is where the difference will be in terms of like my program, and saying like, right, if you are sending me a video, I will hope to get the entire set, because I want to see where you are pushing yourself into a level to create that stimulus and break down the muscle